Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. Over the course of this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts on episode 6 of Married at First Sight San Diego. And within 10 minutes or less, I plan to give my episode breakdown, followed by the important things that happened in the episode, and lastly, I'll be giving my overall rating for the episode. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. This episode covers the couple's final days of their honeymoon before they have to head back to reality. We get plenty of Morgan and Ben this episode, and it's about time. We get plenty of Miguel being extremely messy with the other cast members, and we have some spoilers that were proven to be true for this episode. For those of you who haven't seen this episode yet, if I have to give a recommendation on whether you should check it out or avoid it altogether, I would say check it out. I will say this was by far the most entertaining episode of the season thus far, and if you lend me a few minutes of your time, I'll happily tell you all about it. In the beginning of this episode, all the ladies meet up to talk about their experience being married at first sight. And of course, the topic of sex comes up. The women take turns revealing who's been doing what, and the only woman that admitted to taking a trip to Pound Town is Lindy. Of course, she confirms this in a roundabout way, but I commend Lindy on trusting the process and letting things flow naturally. However, the exact opposite happens with the other women. Stacia shares that she wants to gradually build up things before she has sex with Nate. Morgan is a little too conscious of having sex too soon. And Kristen had the chance to have sex with Mitch. Her exact words were that Mitch pounced on her like a tiger. But Kristen prided herself in taking control of the situation and denying Mitch the goods. Now what gets me about all of this is that this happened directly after she told Mitch that she wanted to have sex on the honeymoon, and at some time he needs to give her sex or she will ask for a divorce. Before decision day, of course, and in the back of my mind, I'm asking Kristen to make up her mind. Now let me say that I am no fan of Mitch by any means, but at this point, Kristen is sending mixed signals to him, and it seems like she is willing to punish him and herself just to prove that she's in control. But when it's Alexis's turn, she really doesn't talk about sex, but she reveals something that we all knew about her from the first episode, which is that it is hard for her to be with a sensitive guy. And that's her right to feel that way, but she never told Justin that, and I think he has a right to know. The men also talk about their experience being married at first sight, and they also talk about the topic of sex. Miguel happily reveals that he gave Lindy the pickle tickle, and in Miguel's own words, he felt empowered by a divine being when he gently placed his maker stick in Lindy's love pudding. But the other guys reveal that they haven't been so lucky. Ben wants to smash Morgan, but she's holding all the high cards. Nate claims that he doesn't want to rush to sex too soon, but Miguel calls him out on his statement and asks Nate to explain himself. Miguel also does this with Justin when he talks about his celibacy with Alexis. And if you ask me, Miguel is just coming off a little smug because he was the first guy to get some action and the other guys are a long way away from it. So let's talk about Morgan and Ben. We learned that Ben feels some sort of way because when he signed up for the show, he wanted a wife who was financially secure and one that had a good relationship with her family. Well, Morgan has a ton of student loan debt and she has a bad relationship with her family, and she misled the experts by omitting the fact that she was still in school for nursing. When Ben tells Morgan how this makes him feel, she asks Ben to be understanding of her situation and trust her. But Ben then admits that he talked to Justin about her situation at school, which was something Morgan didn't want Ben to tell anybody about. And this angers Morgan and causes Ben to get on the defensive and apologize. And from the outside looking in, it seems like Morgan hit Ben with that Uno reverse card and flipped the situation back on him, because at the end of the conversation, not only did Ben completely talk himself out of taking Morgan on a trip to Pound Town, but his feelings about Morgan's shortcomings were invalidated and only her feelings mattered. Now, if you've ever seen the movie Two Can Play That Game, this is what Anthony Anderson's character was telling Morris Chestnut about: the transference of power. But later on in the episode, Morgan meets with Stacia and Lindy to reveal what happened between her and Ben. And one thing I found interesting was that when Morgan told Stacia about the situation with the student loan debt and how Ben had a problem with it, Stacia replied, "So?" as if it wasn't important. And this is funny because Stacia gave Nate a hard time about his bankruptcy and told him how much she valued financial security. But while Lindy and Stacia validate Morgan's feelings, They also encourage her to hang in there and trust the process with Ben. Stacia also uses this meeting to express her concerns that Lindy may have been coerced into sleeping with Miguel. And this is really Stacia just projecting her past experiences onto Lindy. But Lindy assures her that she gave up the cookie while having a Kool-Aid smile on her face. Now during this meeting of the minds, Lindy tells Stacia that Miguel has been chatting with her, and he doesn't fully trust Nate's intentions for being on the show. And the way Lindy revealed this information came off as very messy. But Stacia had an open mind, and she listened to what Lindy had to say. Now Justin and Alexis didn't have much going on this episode. They hang out at the beach, and Alexis asks Justin if her making more money than him will hurt his ego. And Justin replies no, because they're going to have a joint account. And I had to laugh at this, because once he said that, Alexis had that "the devil is a lie" look all over her face. But in this episode, Alexis also publicly professes her love for Justin, and later on in the episode, she tells Justin to mind his business when it came to Ben and Morgan's marriage. Now between Justin crying and needing to be held by Alexis, to him breakdancing after she told him she loved him, Justin has truly earned the Come On Justin award for the episode. Now towards the end of the episode, all the couples meet for a group dinner. Nate tells everybody that Stacia has invited him to live with her at her house. Morgan is also put on the spot regarding what being married will look like when she returns home, and her response was giving off vibes that she wanted a roommate and a partner instead of a husband. Now if you remember Olivia from Married at First Sight New Orleans, then this is pretty much the same situation times 10. Alexis then asks Morgan where Ben fits into her plans, and the group tries to inform Morgan that she needs to have some wiggle room with her expectations. The spotlight then shines on Justin and Alexis, and this is when Miguel opens his mouth yet again and asks Alexis what she will be giving to Justin as his wife. And Alexis said that she was ready for all the smoke. And she gives Miguel some rapid-fired answers. Stacia also uses this opportunity to hit the Uno reverse card on Miguel and put him on the spot for not sharing his story and dating history with the group. But the producers of the show send the mariachi band to play some tunes before Miguel could answer. And that was truly a Saved by the Bell moment. Lastly, let's talk about Stacia and Nate. A lot of their scenes for this episode were considered fluff, but I would still like to hit on the important things that they talked about. Stacia reveals that she is going to therapy, and she wanted to know if Nate was open to attending therapy with her. And in my opinion, that conversation was a little too soon to be had, because the presumption is that Stacia may anticipate some issues with Nate before those issues had a chance to develop. Also, everyone isn't comfortable with talking to a complete stranger about their personal business. But later on in the episode, Stacia asks Nate about his intentions with being with her, and she lets him know that she's going to challenge him, which makes me wonder, is Stacia going to put Nate through more tests instead of allowing things to happen organically? In the last episode, the whole ATV riding fiasco was an unnecessary test that Stacia conducted to see if Nate could read her mind. And if that's the course of action that Stacia has taken, then I fear that Nate would eventually get tired of it. But we shall see how this couple does going forward. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this episode a 5. It did a great job at being entertaining, and I think that there were plenty of lessons that couples and newlyweds could learn from these couples on the show. But I still question why half of these cast members even bothered signing up for the show like this. And with 11 more episodes to go, I think that we as fans will be in for quite a long ride. But this marks the end of my review. If you have any questions related to my review or the episode, feel free to leave them in the comment section below and I'll reply to everyone. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.